So this is the second one in March, although this might actually be coming out in April because the plans have gone wrong because the weather wasn't at all today what it was supposed to be. It's getting towards dark now and it's just beginning to clear out. Today was supposed to be an outside day where I was going to do various jobs outside, including putting tricolour and anchor light LED ones up to reduce my power consumption. I was going to video that plus a few other bits and pieces. And then I was going to, this evening, kind of tidy up the boat, clean up a bit, and then do a kind of a video boat tour to show at a later date. But because it was so horrible out there today, I've kind of flipped it the other way around. So, apologies for the mess, but I thought we'd have a little boat tour today. I like when people show sort of boat tours. It's not a big boat, but let's have a look at a few bits and pieces. So, Serenity is a Mirage 28 Mark 1. She's the fin keel version. So 28 foot length overall, 22 feet length in the water, 9'3" wide. Draft is 1.4 meters, which I think is about 5'5", and she weighs about 3.5. She weighs 3.5 tons. Yeah, 3.5 tons. The Mark II had a slightly taller mast, a bigger rig, and apparently more headroom inside. But very interested to hear anything from any other Mirage owners. The insides are slightly different depending on, because some of them were sort of home constructed and some of them had an extra chart table and had kind of lockers here, and so if you've got a Mirage you'd be very interested to hear what differences or what you kind of see on that. She was kind of competition to the Westerly Centaur at the time, I think. So anyway, if I do manage to go up the mast, you'll already know it, which is something I don't know because I'll have put a thumbnail with a picture of me up the mast, and if it's a picture of Serenity on her slip, then you'll know that I didn't manage to do that. So anyway, let's have a guided tour, starting in the kitchen area. Right, let's start at the most important part of any boat, any house, anything, and that's kind of the galley, the kitchen area. Nice bit of cover space in here. That's going to be a drawer where I'm actually going to keep my knives and forks and things. At the moment they're just kind of sitting over here. Nice 2-burner oven with a grill and with an oven. You'd have thought I'd have cleaned it, wouldn't you, knowing that I was going to do a tour of the boat. Some space, this all needs revarnishing, some space at the back to keep plates and things. Single sink at the moment with just cold water, which is hand pumped. Some space at the back, it's a bit dark actually, to keep various bits and pieces. And then the kind of fridge freezer area underneath here, and at the moment I'm just using that for storing a few bits and pieces. And then underneath here, underneath the cooker, this is where I keep my pots and pans. And I used to keep about 1 frying pan under there, and then I discovered just how many I could actually store there, which is a surprising amount, to be quite honest. And then another bit of storage in here, that's vacuum cleaner, cleaning products and so on. And then my bin, which is a plastic bag. And then we go through to here. That's the engine axis. We'll have a quick peek at that, but I covered that in detail in a previous video. And that's the exit to the wide world. And look at those clouds and that rain, and it was supposed to be beautiful, so I could go up the mast today. And then we'll move on next to the sort of the electronics area and the quarter berth. This is the quarter berth, which is on the port side, and like most ports, if it's not being used as quarter berth, it's storage space. Most of my kind of sailing gear, life vest, a few other bits and pieces that I need to kind of grab immediately, I keep in this box. The box down there's actually 2, one inside. The other one of them is empty, is bedding and stuff, and then I've got a bag here. Down in here there's a few sort of sailing bits and a radar reflector. Right, this is with the boxes taken out. This is why I need to box this in at the bottom, because this is partly because of cable runs. This is where the electricity comes in, so it's a bit tatty. And on the left here, this is the I don't know what you call it, power panel, but it's got an RCD plus 2 single pole breakers. One of them I switched off at the moment, so there's no mains power coming in. So basically I've got the most simple Shaw electrics possible, where there's 2 lines coming out. One goes to the charger, which then manages everything else on 12 volts, and the other one goes directly to a 240 volt 50 hertz, which is what the UK Power is, outlet, and I've just got 2 outlets. The thing on the right, by the way, that's a galvanic isolator, and if you don't have one of those and you don't know what it is and you're in a marina with other people on power, it means your boat will melt through galvanic processes quicker than theirs. So all it does is it kind of equalises out the earth. It needs to be widened very specifically. I won't go into it, it's a specialist job, but if you haven't got one, it can save you a lot of money in the long run, or you can have a melted boat. And it's switched off at the moment, but this is the smart charger. This is a Sterling, there's a few other brands out there, and basically you can set it for the type of batteries. I've just got standard 12 volt lead acid, but you can do it for AGMs and all sorts of things, different types of batteries, and then it will also, when you're in harbour, it will power the 12 volt and recondition your batteries at the same time. Expensive but worthwhile, and these are my only 2 mains 240 volt 50 hertz outlets. So here's the extra leisure battery, which I've been meaning to do for ages. So I've just literally popped another 110 amp battery in there, I had to build a little platform for the starter battery, and down here there's a little bit of gubbins that you need to have the battery monitor, which we'll have a look at. Actually, we'll have a look at that now. So let's see what the power drain would be under normal sailing characteristics. So I'd have instruments, VHF radio, GPS, power 12 volts, that's the Navionics. Switch all this on. Switch the radio on. Navionics is going. Radio's booted up. GPS is just getting started, and that goes up to about 1.9 amps, and I've got 220 amp hours. You want to get down to no more than 50%, so that's about 55 hours, is it, of kind of running. Yeah, that's quite adequate. I obviously at night I'd have the tricolour on, but I haven't replaced the LED yet. It's raining. I was hoping to do that today. If it brightens up, then I will do that before I post the video. By the way, I worked that out to whatever I did, 55 hours. If I click onto the time left, this says 108 hours, and I'm guessing that's time to sort of to 0, but you wouldn't want to go down to 0. I think when it gets to 50, it's supposed to sort of bleep an alarm out, but I've got no idea how to test that and no idea what the alarm sounds like, so one of these days there'll be a strange noise and I'll have to figure out what it is. Anyway, about 2 amps. So very pleased with it. Actually, this was really easy. So you just get up the top of the mast, undo this little ring thing, pull the whole light unit off, and then you just simply replace the bulbs. The only stupid thing I did was actually balance the new bulb at the top of the mast before I put the new one in, but it just couldn't be simpler. Okay, so this is the anchor light. Switching the anchor light on with the old style bulb. and you can see it's drawing about 1.4 amps. And the tricolor, switch that on to the tricolor. I'm expecting it to be about the same actually, I'm not sure. Oh, it's more. Oh, quite a bit more. 2.2 amps. I'm not sure why it goes up like that. 2.2 amps. So yeah, that's what happens if you use the old fashioned style bulbs. Okay, so this is the LEDs, this is the anchor lights. 0.1, 0.2, more, or is that staying there? 0.2, so that's significant in its own right. So that's the anchor light. So I can anchor up for a very, very long time overnight in that. And the tricolor is probably going to be a bit more, but hopefully not too much more. Tricolor 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. Oops, it switched itself off. Yeah, 0.3. That's excellent. Very pleased with that. So, moving round from the quarter berth, we've got this long sort of sofa which comes up to the table, and underneath there, currently, and I upgraded this, is a flexible 200 litre water tank. I might either put in a solid one, I don't mean solid, do I, you know, a sort of rigid one, or go down to 150, because it kind of uses up all that room and that's a bit of a shame. These shelves are nice, they're really quite deep, so stuff is not going to fall out, and I keep sort of camera gear, electronics. This is the emergency bit, so this is what to do in the case of a mayday, torch, flares, some grab things with some food, some extra food on there, and none of this stuff can fall out. That's not normally there actually, but that can go somewhere safe. Loads of book space, and again what's really nice is this is really quite deep, so these books are certainly not going to fall. I slightly cut down on my wine supply, so there's now only room for 2 bottles, so I could have more books. I do have more books up there. These tend to be less sailing and more my sort of reading type books. And then down below I've got a clock, barometer, and I kind of like to put the tide times and stuff there, and I've got some basic navigation things here. And if we look at this, actually I think it was, because I've set this for 2nd of April, it's not 2nd of April now, but this is when I'm hopefully planning to go out. And a couple of years, no, last year actually, I think it was much worse than this on the 2nd of April. And behind here, loads of space. So I've got 4 boxes in there of different tools, so I'll take those out and we'll have a quick look at them. So this is my attempt to kind of rationalise things by breaking some of my immediate things that I need into 4 boxes. And I've kind of categorised them by things in tubes, basic tools, spare parts, and things that hold things together. The trouble is, what I do find is if I need to do any single job, I kind of need to get all of these out, so there's got to be a better way of having a quick box of tools to kind of grab quickly, but it's not one of my fortes, to be quite honest. Yeah, so they fit away quite nicely, and then I've got first aid kit, around the corner documents, some more sort of documents and bits and pieces. So there's plenty of sort of storage space on this side, so I'm quite happy with that. So kind of moving on from here, we've got the that's the door into the heads area, and also the V-berth, which we'll have a look at later. Here's another seat, which is very useful. We had a look at that before. That's basically where I keep an awful lot of food, and we saw that in a video a couple of times, so I can actually keep quite a lot of stuff down there. Tiller pilot, spare lantern. This is mostly charts and so on, but I've also got things like my this circle thing for when you're anchored, and one of these upside down V's. When was the last time you saw a boat flying one of those. A spare radar reflector, simply because I've got one. I don't know why I need a spare one. Spare GPS. This is an old Garmin thing. That's the vane for the sea feather, and these are my charts, which at the moment I've kind of sorted out into different areas for my trip. Okay, so this door I normally keep open, but this is the door into the through to the fore cabin, the berth. And there's another door there, which kind of gives you a clue that this is the old-fashioned design, where, yeah, you guessed it, the heads is kind of a walk-through heads. This is where, by the way, this area here is all going to be, that's where I'm hoping to put the holding tank. If it can't go in there, and I think there is one that fits, then there is a space underneath the V-berth to fit. I'm not going to show you too much detail here because I really haven't cleaned up very much. But I did actually change the pump on the Jabsco head recently so that it's one of the lock and twist ones. And then on this side, this is where the sink used to be, and I've actually, this was a temporary fix, but I've actually put more of these 45 litre boxes in. They sort of slot in so that they won't move about too much. So I've got 3 of these, and then underneath is sort of footwear and bits and pieces. And what's really nice is that behind here is actually a hanging area, so that it's quite deep. So you can hang up various clothes in there. You can obviously only get to them if you take the things out, and it's not really designed to hang your jackets up. There are hooks and things that you can put your jacket on here, and there's a bit of a grill on the floor, so you can actually use this as a wet area. I don't know if you can convert this to a shower. I don't think you'd actually want to. And this, by the way, is where I keep my gloves and hats and things. So this is the ouch! I bang my head. I always bang my head on this. I've had this boat for 2 years and I still bang my head. This is surprisingly comfortable, despite the fact the mattress is about as pliable as a piece of cardboard. And at the moment, my guitar is hiding under there. It finds a different place to hide every time I come back to the boat. But haha, I found where you are, mate. So yeah, this is surprisingly comfortable. Or my nerve ends have just died. Ouch! I banged it again. Right, so these are 2 quite big lockers underneath. Oh, there's the mast, mate. Actually, I shall need that if the weather does get better. There's the Jenica in there, spare head sail, various bits and pieces, enough tools and a few more spares to build a completely new boat. So there you go, a little bit bits and pieces. She really does have a lot of room inside. I very, very nearly bought, in fact I put an offer which was rejected on a Halcyon 27. I just love the way that Halcyon 27s look. They look a little bit like Contessa 26s. And whereas Serenity kind of goes around like that, and so these bits are kind of locker spaces, the Halcyon kind of goes like that. So when you open the locker, it's almost like there's negative space in it. It really wouldn't have worked. But anyway, that's either goodbye for this month, or I will put in a little bit of me at the top of the mast, putting these in, and see if they really do make a difference. So see you next month or later on this month, depending on when this came out. Bye.